Hi everyone, welcome back to Baking with Matisse. For this week's video, I wanted to try out another recipe from Claire Saffitz's new book, Dessert Person. And this week I wanted to try out Claire's classic English muffins. English muffins are one of my favorite breakfast foods to eat, but I've never tried making them myself before, so I'm really excited to test this out. But before we get into that, I wanted to say welcome if you're new here. I make baking videos every Wednesday where I test out some recipes going around the internet or show you guys some of my favorite recipes to make myself. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel for more content. But anyway, let's get right into these classic English muffins. To make Claire's English muffins, I grabbed 1.5 cups of milk, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast, 3 cups of flour. She asked for bread and whole wheat flour, but I couldn't find either, so I just used a good quality local flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, some neutral oil, and some cornmeal. To start, I scalded the milk by heating it over medium heat until small bubbles started to form. I kept it at this stage for about 30 seconds before turning off the heat and whisking in the honey and butter. I let that cool down until it reached 105 degrees on an instant thermometer before combining a few tablespoons of the milk mixture with the yeast and letting that sit until it was foamy. 105 is the ideal temperature for yeast, and this step is to activate your yeast and to check to make sure that it's working. Next, in the bowl of a stand mixer fitted with the dough hook, I mixed the flour, salt, milk, and yeast mixtures on low to combine them. Then I turned up the speed to medium and let the mixture knead the dough for about 10 minutes until it was smooth, elastic, and climbing up the hook. I had to remind myself that the dough was supposed to be very wet, because it was definitely way more wet of a dough than I was used to. I scraped out the dough into an oiled bowl and let it rise covered in plastic and a towel in a warm place for an hour and a half or so until it had doubled in size. After that, I flattened it out in between oiled parchment paper dusted with cornmeal on a baking sheet until it was a ½ inch thick, and then covered it in plastic again and let it sit in the fridge for 8 to 12 hours. The next morning, I removed the plastic and parchment from on top of the dough and cut out 3½ inch circles using a mug. I actually ended up getting 12 English muffins when the recipe said it would only make 8, which made me a little worried that I had made them too thin. After that, all there was left to do was to cook them in a pan on the stove over medium-low heat for 7 to 10 minutes on the first side until they were puffed and brown on the bottom, and then 5 to 7 minutes on the other side. This first batch got a little too dark, I think, but the next batches definitely looked better. Alright, so I have one of the English muffins here with me, and I'm going to give it a taste. Wow, this is definitely one of the best English muffins I've ever had. I'm eating it just a little bit lightly toasted and with some butter on it, and there's nothing that's better. It tastes so fresh because it was just made this morning. It gets these crevices in it, and then all the butter runs into the crevices, which makes it super delicious. You can tell this is a recipe Claire has spent a lot of time perfecting, and it pays off in the finished product because it's amazing. I could definitely eat this for breakfast any day of the week. You can't even compare these to the store-bought ones. I definitely give this a 10 out of 10 and recommend, if you have Claire's cookbook, that you make this recipe. Well anyway, thank you all so much for watching this week's video. Be sure to click that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed it for more. Also, please leave a comment about any other recipes from Claire's new cookbook that you'd want to see me try out. I'm writing down all the comments I get, and there'll be more videos featuring Claire's new book, Dessert Person, coming really soon. Thank you all so much. See you next week.